Hello and welcome to the Kay Burton Report, coming to you from Redcourt, which is undoubtedly one of the most stunning period homes in Melbourne. And later in the show, the man behind this amazing restoration, Adam Garrison, will take us on a personal tour. And now to the market report, and it's been a big month here at Kay Burton. In fact, Chairman Gerald Delaney rates this as the strongest market he has ever seen in his career. There have been several off-market properties in Boroondara selling for more than $10 million. South Yarra, Toorak and Bayside also continue to perform well, with clearance rates up around 80%. All of this comes despite the low Aussie dollar and indications that Australian business confidence is waning. To explain the current financial climate, I spoke to the National Australia Bank's Executive General Manager of Global Institutional Banking, Spiro Pappas. And for the finger on the pulse of Melbourne's property market, Kay Burton Managing Director, Ross Savvis. The horizon is a little hazy for many industries in Australia at the moment. The National Australia Bank's monthly business survey showing confidence is at its lowest level since before the 2013 election.
There's a sort of a continuing weak trend around confidence. Its confidence has been down since pretty much October last year. The good news is it's not negative. It's sort of operating at around zero. The long run average, however, is up at around plus 7%.
Weak commodity prices have affected mining industries. The low Australian dollar is putting pressure on wholesalers, while confidence in retail is patchy.
The overall picture for the economy is that GDP will grow at roughly 2.5% to 3%, which is pretty much the long-term average.
Despite this, construction, especially residential developments, remains strong. And as for property, in particular the sector of the market Kay Burton specialises in, well, it's as hot as ever.
It is. It's a very exciting market. In fact, it's the strongest market I've seen in my career. I even say that it surpasses the 80s, which was a very halcyon period of real estate.
Managing Director Ross Savvis agrees.
The market is strong, there's no doubt, especially our sector. And from our private client base around the world, there is massive investment. The demand will be strong, will continue to be strong. The dollar's low, interest rates are low, and people are wanting to live in Melbourne. They want a part of Melbourne. They want to experience the lifestyle here and educate their children and have a happy life.
It's hard to tell just how long these super buoyant conditions will continue. According to the NAB, the current growth is not sustainable.
What we expect to happen, however, is for that to sort of start to, the pace of growth to decline. So in Sydney, we don't believe the double-digit growth that we've had over the last year is sustainable, and it's probably not healthy. Melbourne, we actually see there's a risk of it sort of falling into weak single-digit growth because of supply issues, etc. But overall, the picture is still positive for property, particularly in Sydney and Melbourne.
Whoever buys Redcourt here in Armidale won't simply be a new homeowner. They'll be the custodian of an historical gem. And that's true of several of our prominent listings this month. From brilliant renovations to masterful creations, our autumn premium properties are luxury at its finest. With views stretching from Brighton to the CBD and on the doorstep of cosmopolitan St Kilda, this Victoria Street apartment has garnered much attention. Chairman Gerald Delaney giving it his personal tick of approval.
This particular apartment enjoys magnificent water views. Stephen Jolson has played a very big part in the interiors of it, and it's a very spectacular property.
If the open for inspection crowds at number 8 Torresdale Road in Toorak are anything to go by, this Expressions of Interest campaign will be hotly contested.
It has great spaces, high ceilings, wonderful modern, timeless architecture, and in a great position off St George's Road. I feel there'll be 3 or 4 serious contenders for that property, and it'll be very interesting to see where they drive each other to achieve the ultimate ownership.
Also in Toorak, the private sale of the stunning 20 Linlithgow Road. This is an extraordinary home, a Stephen Jolson designed masterpiece. Behind impressive private walls, discover a property in which tradition and modern convenience have been combined with spectacular success. This home has attracted interest from local and international buyers and is one of the picks of the autumn sales. As is Torresdale Manor, a rare offering with a rich history. With an English garden and classic lines, you'll be swept away to another world in this supremely private and beautifully created Toorak estate. Elegance and sophistication of generations past blend seamlessly with elements of a modern lifestyle. And finally, every now and then you visit a property that immediately stops you in your tracks, and this Alan Powell designed residence at 433 Glenferrie Road, Malvern, is one of them.
A spectacular house, a very large house, big land content. Alan Powell has produced something very special there. I mean, he's a very highly regarded architect. In this particular case, it's possibly his very best and very finest.
All of the properties previewed here and more can be viewed in more detail on our website kayburton.com.au.
Really is a retreat. As soon as you drive through the gates, it's like its own little oasis. Most people that come here, their breath gets taken away just for that moment when they walk in, which is really lovely. The first day I came here was very remarkable and still very strong in my memory because I'd been driving past the house. My parents had driven me past it quite often as a child. I felt a connection to the house when I first walked into it. It was strange, but it really needed some love and attention and a very, very carefully curated restoration program because it had been left by itself and abandoned for so long and unloved. People drive up the driveway, they usually lose their breath for a few moments, and then when they walk into the Great Hall, which is this space here, then they lose it again, because I think this was the space that originally was the gathering point for all the functions and events and parties that have been going on here since the 1800s. And when the afternoon sun comes through that window, it just streams through and colours the whole room. People who are here in the room at the time just get mesmerised by it. It's amazing. Going into the study, I wanted to create a feeling of intimacy and seclusion, almost like a little private club. And then going through into the quiet room, which is a great spot for listening to music, meditating. The table's a very special table. It was the old Richard Ponsford stand from the MCG turned into a table with the seat numbers on it. Shannon Bennett designed the space as though it was the kitchen that he wanted. If he owned the house, he would design it that way and use it. So it's fabulous that it can be used intimately or, once again, for medium-sized families or beyond that into grand entertaining. One of the great things about the house is you can utilise all the downstairs all the time, the gym, the steam room, the preserves room, the wine room, all those spaces can be used every day, and then the bedrooms can be opened up or shut down depending upon how many you need to accommodate. I sometimes think about who the next owner of Redcourt's going to be, and I think it's definitely going to be someone who wants to carry on a legacy. And it may be a large family, it may even be a small family or even a couple. But I think it's someone that can appreciate a unique space and really feels a great sense of energy and warmth when they walk into the house. I think my role as custodian's done to preserve this now, and it's been an amazing journey, and I wouldn't have done anything different.
The purpose in styling a property is to paint a picture, is to create the dream. People want to walk in and feel like they belong there, and that's what I'm trying to give them. Not just another property on the block, but a home that they can walk into and envision themselves living in and raising children in and enjoying as a family home. My name is Nicole Angelier. I'm an interior designer and property stylist. I have been here in Melbourne for 3 years via New York and Milan, where I had interior design businesses. I'm looking forward to really bringing my international experience to the Melbourne design market. Melbourne real estate is absolutely booming. I think it's a very sophisticated market, and vendors and buyers expect a certain level of style when they go to a property. Working with a stylist is really beneficial to clients for a number of reasons. It's very difficult to see the big picture when you're living in it, or when there's so many emotional elements tied into the reason for selling a property. So it's very, very helpful to have fresh eyes. Also, a stylist understands what the market is after, placement of furniture, the flow of traffic during an open for inspection. There are all of these little things that the client might not be aware of. When selecting furniture for a property, it's always nice to have a hero piece. And that hero can be a sofa, it can be a chair, it can be a dining table. It can really be anything. For example, a sofa like this one, I've selected some really beautiful cashmere houndstooth fabric, and the legs of the sofa we had specially enameled in a beautiful red, which just adds a little bit of extra flair to the piece and creates a great statement piece. When I select artwork for various different properties, I always consider the size of the wall, the orientation of the hanging of the piece. I like to have a consistent height for all of the pieces so your eye flows and doesn't jump up and down. I also like groupings of paintings and groupings of pictures. There are rules, but I also like to break them, basically. Statistics show that it's beneficial to use a stylist when selling a property. You can get up to 15 to 20% better sale price come auction day for a small investment in the beginning. Of course, it's not an exact science, but it definitely increases the value of the property.
Well, that wraps up this autumn edition, coming to you around Australia and the world from the leaders in executive premium property, Kay Burton. Join me next month for updates on finance and property markets, as well as a front row preview to our best offerings. And of course, you can subscribe to this report on kayburton.com.au. Until then, bye for now.